You didn't lose money slowly. You lost it in 1 year. 1 year where you upgraded the apartment. 1 year where you stopped investing. 1 year where you said, I deserve this. And that single year, it might have cost you $300,000. $500,000. Maybe even $1 million. Here's the scary part. It didn't feel irresponsible. It felt normal. My name is Hailey, and I spend way too much time thinking about how smart people accidentally destroy their wealth. If you're trying to build long-term wealth and avoid the mistakes that quietly set you back a decade, hit subscribe. Because today we're talking about the most expensive financial mistake nobody warns you about, the one bad year rule. Here's what most people don't realize. Wealth building is fragile in the short term and unstoppable in the long term, but only if you don't interrupt it. According to research from Dalbar, the average investor significantly underperforms the market over long periods of time, not because of bad investments, but because of behavior. Over a 20-year period, the S&P 500 might average around 9 to 10% annually. The average investor, often several percentage points lower. Why? Because of emotional decisions during bad years. They sell, they panic, they stop investing. They wait for things to calm down, and that 1 year of fear destroys years of compounding. Let's make this real. You're 30 years old. You invest $500 per month into a low-cost index fund averaging 8% annually. If you do that consistently until age 60, you end up with roughly $745,000. Now here's where it gets really interesting. Let's say at age 35, the market drops 25%. You panic. You stop investing for 1 year. You keep your money in cash because this time feels different. Then you come back. That one missed year, it doesn't just cost you $6,000 in contributions. It costs you the compounding on that money for 25 years. Now instead of $745,000, you end up with around $680,000. 1 year. One emotional decision, $65,000 gone. And that's a conservative example, because it usually is. The one bad year isn't just about investing. It's about lifestyle. Imagine you get a raise. You go from $70,000 to $85,000 per year. You tell yourself, I worked hard for this, I deserve to upgrade. So you upgrade your apartment, plus $500 a month. Lease a nicer car, $400 a month. Increase dining and travel, $300 a month. That's $1,200 extra per month. $14,400 per year. After taxes, your raise might only be $10,000, $11,000 net. So you're actually negative, but here's the dangerous part. That new spending becomes permanent. Let's say you could have invested that $14,400 annually at 8% for 25 years. That's roughly $1 million. One lifestyle decision. 1 year of upgrades. 7 figures of opportunity cost. This is where it gets uncomfortable. Look, money decisions aren't math problems. They're identity problems. When we have a bad year financially, it's usually triggered by one of 3 psychological shifts. Fear. I need to protect what I have. Reward mentality. I deserve this. Comparison. Everyone else is doing better. And here's the thing. Bad years rarely feel irresponsible in the moment. They feel justified. You're not reckless. You're stressed. You're celebrating. You're trying to catch up. The brain prioritizes emotional relief over long-term gain. Behavioral economists call this present bias. The future version of you feels abstract. The upgraded apartment feels real. The market recovery feels uncertain. The new car feels immediate. And your brain chooses certainty, addressing the objection. Now you might be thinking, but sometimes bad years are unavoidable. Absolutely. If you lose a job, have a medical emergency, or face a crisis, that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about optional bad years. The self-inflicted ones, the emotional ones, the lifestyle-driven ones, because here's what most people don't realize. Financial progress is nonlinear. You can build for 10 years and erase half the progress in one emotionally charged 12-month period. During the Great Recession, markets dropped over 50% from peak to trough. Investors who sold near the bottom locked in catastrophic losses, but those who stayed invested recovered, and then some. In fact, from the bottom in March 2009 to the next decade, markets more than tripled. The difference wasn't intelligence, it was endurance. One bad year for some became a permanent setback. For others, it became a temporary chapter. Here's something nobody talks about. Compounding works both ways. It magnifies discipline, and it magnifies mistakes. If you consistently invest, compounding accelerates. But if you interrupt it, especially early, you don't just lose that year. You reset momentum. Imagine pushing a heavy flywheel. At first, it barely moves. After years, it spins easily. A bad year is like stopping it completely. You don't resume where you left off. You start from friction again. Lifestyle inflation is a one-year virus. Let's zoom back to income. According to data from U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics, spending tends to rise with income almost proportionally across income brackets. In other words, most raises disappear. Here's what most people don't realize. The first year you increase spending sets your baseline identity. Your normal resets, and lowering it later feels like failure. So the one bad spending year becomes permanent lifestyle inflation. You didn't just overspend. You permanently raised your burn rate, and high burn rates reduce freedom. Let's say your fixed monthly expenses increase by $1,000. That's $12,000 per year. But financially, that doesn't just cost $12,000. It increases the amount of money you need to feel safe. If you follow the 25x rule for financial independence, you now need an extra $300,000 invested just to support that higher lifestyle. One bad year, $300,000 of additional required wealth. This is where it gets really interesting. Bad years don't just reduce wealth. They increase required wealth. That's the double hit. I had a friend, we'll call him Mark. Mark was disciplined. Saved 20% of his income, invested monthly, slow, boring progress. Then he got promoted, big jump in income. He upgraded everything within 10 months, apartment, car, gym, travel. His savings rate dropped to 5%. Then the company had layoffs, he survived. But now he was financially fragile, stress skyrocketed. He stopped investing until things stabilized. That pause lasted 18 months. Mark didn't blow up his finances, he just had one bad year. But that year, reduced his savings rate long-term, increased his fixed expenses, interrupted compounding, increased stress. That's the one bad year rule. Here it is. One optional bad financial year can cost you a decade of progress. Not because you're bad with money, but because momentum matters more than intensity. Small consistency beats dramatic swings. How to avoid it? Actionable steps. 1. Create a no lifestyle upgrade buffer. When you get a raise, freeze your lifestyle for 12 months. Invest the entire raise. Let the money hit your investment accounts automatically. If after 1 year you still want the upgrade, fine. But delay it. Time kills impulse. 2. Automate during volatility. When markets drop, do nothing. Better yet, automate contributions so you physically can't decide. Remove yourself from the equation. Because the problem isn't information, it's emotion. 3. Define your bad year rules in advance. Write down, I will not sell during downturns. I will not upgrade housing unless savings rate stays above X%. I will not pause investing unless income stops. Pre-commitment protects you from future you. 4. Track savings rate, not just income. Income growth feels impressive. Savings rate drives freedom. If your income doubled but your savings rate halved, you're going backward. 5. Install a 30-day rule for big upgrades. Before increasing fixed expenses, wait 30 days. Most impulses die in silence. Here's what most people don't realize. Wealth isn't built in your best years. It's protected in your worst ones. Anyone can invest when markets are up. Anyone can save when motivated. But discipline during emotionally charged periods, that's where wealth is decided. Look, you don't need to be perfect for 30 years. You don't need to time the market. You don't need a genius strategy. You just need to avoid one catastrophic, optional bad year. Protect momentum. Guard your savings rate. Delay lifestyle inflation. Automate investing. And most importantly, understand that your biggest financial enemy isn't low income. It's temporary emotion with permanent consequences. If this helped you think differently about your money, hit subscribe. Because the difference between financial stress and financial freedom is often just 1 year. Don't let it be the wrong.